Okay guys, so we're going to be looking at solving equations in geometry. And so this is something that we do a lot when we're looking at angles. So before we get into actually setting up and solving some equations, there's some vocabulary that we all need to know so that when we're using and seeing these words, we know what they mean. The first is adjacent. Adjacent angles that have this really fancy definition that say have a common vertex and a common side, and that's really confusing. Adjacent angles are angles that are next to each other. So for example, angle B is this space in here, is next to angle C. See how they both share a side? So a common side means one of their sides are touching. So that would be a common side. Okay, so angle B and angle C are adjacent. They're next to each other. That's what that means. Okay, we could also say that angles D and angle A are adjacent. They're next to each other. And if we look at it, they also have a common side, this red side right here. So those are examples of adjacent angles. Now, sometimes adjacent angles have some really cool properties. Like these ones, if we're looking at the adjacent angles, they actually come together to make a straight line. So if I'm looking at angle B and I'm looking at angle C, I can see that those two angles put together form a straight line. So that means if I were to add them up, if I were to add angle A plus angle B, together they would equal 180 degrees because they're a straight line. Now, we also have some other cool properties going on, and that's with our second vocabulary word that we're going to look at, and that's vertical angles. Vertical angles are angles that are across from each other. So angle B and angle D are vertical. So the fancy way of saying that is that they're non-adjacent. They're not next to each other. They're across. And vertical angles are always equal to each other. So we're going to use that to set up an equation as well. The fact that those angles are equal will help us make an equation. So let's look at some examples. So here's our first example. Now we can see that the red angle and the blue angle are vertical because they're across from each other. We also know that vertical angles are equal. So that means that we can actually write an equation that says the red angle, 74 degrees, is equal to the blue angle, 2x. And now we have a one-step equation that we can solve. So we would solve this by dividing both sides by 2, and we would get that x is 2 goes into 7 3 times. With 1 left over, 2 goes into 14 7 times. So x is 37 degrees. Okay, let's try a few more of those. So we've got two diagrams here. Now, a couple of things you want to notice. This little symbol right here, that is our right angle symbol. And the right angle symbol means 90 degrees. So what this is telling me is it's telling me that this piece here is 60 and this part over here is x plus 10. And together, if I was to add them, so if I were to take x plus 10 and I were to add that to 60, together they add up to a right angle. So together they equal 90 degrees. So now again, I have an equation that I can solve. I can add my two numbers, my constants together. 10 plus 60 is 70. And now I have a one-step equation. I can subtract 70 on both sides, and I get x equals 20. Okay, just like that, this next equation, same idea, except the two angles are adding up to a straight line. And we know that a straight line is 180 degrees. So our straight line is 180 degrees. So if I were to take the two parts that make up this straight line, the green part is x, and if I add that to this red part over here, which is 3x plus 20, my total equation equals 180 degrees. Now this equation's a little complicated. The first thing we need to do is combine our like terms. X plus 3x is 4x. We bring down the plus 20 equals 180. Then we subtract 20 from both sides, and we have 4x equals 160. I'm running out of space. We divide by 4, and we get x equals 40 degrees. So we can see that equations can be used for all different types of problems, including angle measures. So go ahead and do some practice.